Hey babe, welcome back to another episode of the Money, Mindset, and Manicures podcast. I'm guessing you clicked on this episode because of the title, because you are a woman that wants to call in more money and abundance into your world. And that's exactly what I'm going to be diving into in this episode. It's going to get really juicy, but I do have to share one little spoiler alert. I bet you've heard this tip before and maybe you practice it, maybe you don't. But what I know for sure is that this episode is going to most likely inspire you to either take action on it or do even more. Now, before I get into it, I want to share with you why or how this topic of conversation and why I'm sharing this in this episode came about. So a couple weeks ago, Mark and I hosted some friends at our house for the very first time. And these are new friends. I met, and it's 4 people, 2 couples, husband and wives. And I met the women at a retreat last year. And you know, when you just meet someone for the very first time and you just automatically just kind of have this connection and bond, and their energy is a match to yours. And just from the small few conversations that you have, you're just like, ooh, there's something magical here. Like you don't know what it is yet because you just met them, but every single conversation is great. Like you're just like attracted to them from like a friendship energy perspective. And you're just like, oh, like I feel like this person is going to be my friend, which mind you, for all of us that are maybe, you know, you're in your 30s or you're like adult, like you're out of college and stuff like that, where it's kind of easy to make friends. But, you know, as an adult, it's harder to kind of cultivate these types of experiences to be able to even get these types of relationships and friendships, right? So it's hard to make friends as an adult. So whenever I kind of experience this kind of energy or magic, I lean into it because I'm like, ooh, like there is something here. And from there, these ladies have been in my world and they were even at my last Sedona Goddess retreat. And from there, we got to connect even deeper and further. And as we were exchanging stories and just sharing about our lives and everything, it was just like, oh my gosh, we all just have to hang out. And not only us as women, but they were also married. And they're like, oh my gosh, like our men would all get along so great. Like we have to all get together. So fast forward, that's why Mark and I invited them to our home in Austin. They don't live here in Texas, but invited them over. And over the weekend, we got to just like dive in and just have more deeper, beautiful conversations, spend time together. And these conversations were everything from, you know, life and our goals and our dreams to business and abundance and money. And mind you, both couples, they have their own businesses. So they're entrepreneurs. So naturally, we had a lot of conversations about business and growth and money and, you know, how to make it, how to spend it, all of those sorts of things. From there, this topic of conversation came about because, of course, when you have your own business, we all love to share a story of how we began, where we came from, all of that. So when we started having these conversations, and the one thing that I will share about this, both couples, is that they're millionaires. They're multi-millionaires. They're very well off. They're very successful in their businesses. So we started having these conversations around like money, like how did you get to your first million, or even just like successful, right? Because both couples, and like most people, like Mark and I even, like we all started with nothing and they had the same story. It's not like they grew up or like stepped into money or were given money or both had to start on their own. They didn't have that family money support. And that's kind of very similar to Mark and I, where we started from just ourselves. We didn't have any, you know, nest egg handed down from our family. So these conversations were really cool from a perspective that we've all kind of started from similar places. We had a lot in common as far as lifestyles go, family situations go, life experiences, that sort of thing. And the one thing that really stood out to me, and I've even personally heard this before, and I do a little bit of it, and I'll explain to you where I do this and where I don't do this, and how both of these couples have inspired both Mark and I to do more of this in order to not just from a perspective of calling in more money, but from a perspective of generosity. And their biggest tip for making more money in their lives that they could have ever imagined was from a place of giving. That's the secret. The secret isn't to work more hours, to create new projects, to start a new business, to spend more time on social media. No, it's coming from a place of giving. And the stories that they shared were just like, what? Like just unbelievable, from times where they barely had money to cover their own rent and bills, yet they were giving money to those in need in their community, or, just giving generously, like whether it was like with tipping and stuff like this, but just giving money from a place, not from when people asked them to give, but when they felt it in their hearts, like, hey, we should give to these people. And it wasn't also from a place of, oh, we should give more money to get more money. It was just more of like this relationship with money and understanding that money is an energy flow. And they both believed this from a very long time ago when they started their businesses, that that's what money is. Money is just paper. It's just an energy. And if you hold on to it, if you live in the scarcity mindset, if you live from a place of, oh, I'll give later when I have more money, you're not going to actually give more money later because you're not instilling those habits into yourself right now. So every single story that they shared, and they had plenty that were just like, I was just sitting there like, oh my God, like this is crazy. But also it's not, because I'm the queen of manifestation and I understand the law of reciprocity, where once you're giving, you're of course going to attract more into it. And that was their secret to making millions in their lives and in their business, was starting off from a place of just giving more than they even had. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you run out right now and just go give to as many people as you can so you can't, afford to pay your own rent. But where can you in your life right now give a little more? Now, for Mark and I, we are always like very generous as far as like, we're good tippers, like whether it's at a restaurant or the valet guy or someone delivering our bags, or, in places where it's accustomed to tip, like we give the money, but we've never really done it from a place of how both of these couples have done. And that was really inspiring to me. That was just like one big aha moment from that weekend. And it's something that Mark and I are going to incorporate. In fact, we're going to go to the bank on Monday and just take out for us. Like, I'm just going to share this with you. Maybe this will inspire you or whatever. But like we talked about it already, we're going to take out $500 cash every single month, just to begin, just to where we're at, and each get $250 each, put it in our wallets. And whenever we see or feel that we should give money, whether it is, I don't know, like a cashier, or pay for somebody's dinner while we're out at dinner, or something like that, or just knowing or feeling that someone in our community or lives, needs that cash, not because they're asking for it, but just as a sense of, that knowing, like, oh, you just maybe know that person's struggling, or you've had a conversation with them, and just give them money. And not from a place of, oh, here's like $100, like pay me back. No, it's like, even just give it to them without them even knowing, whether it is like, I don't know, leaving money for them somewhere that they will find it, or maybe just like Venmoing them, which I know they will know where it came from, but just like starting to put that abundance back out into the world. And for me, it wouldn't be doing it from a place of, oh my gosh, that's the secret to making millions. Like, we just have to give more and we're going to get more. But it's more coming from this place of like hearing both of these couples' stories and like a couple different scenarios where they shared and where they did that. And then what came back to them like very quickly in a different way, and how it made them feel. Like, it was so inspiring to me. There was so many times where I had just like tears in my eyes, where I'm just like, that is so incredible. So when we give money unexpectedly to those like in need, especially, right? Or even if you're not sure if they're in need, but you just feel and know like, oh, I should really do this right now, and just bless them with some abundance, especially if you're a place when you can, or even if you can't, just knowing and trusting that that money is going to circulate back to you is going to just really create not only a positive mindset, but it's going to increase and better your relationship with money. You're going to start trusting it, right? You're going to start trusting that, hey, I'm letting this go. Because I think for most people, and you may be in this boat, it's like when you're first starting to change your life and call in abundance and you're learning about manifestation, right? It can be a hard shift to go from like hoarding and counting every dollar and opening your bank account and feeling that scarcity mindset to just allowing it to leave, right? And the one thing that these couples like said and did is like they gave before they were ready. And I think that's really key. I feel like that is the secret to doing anything in life. Like do it before you're ready. Now, Mark and I, we've had this conversation about money so many times, and I don't want to say it's embarrassing to say it kind of is, but we literally talk this out with our friends is like, oh, like we were always planning on just like giving more when we made more money, right? Like when we, say if we were making, I don't know, I'm just throwing out some numbers. These aren't like personal numbers. Like say if we were just trying to make our first $100,000 in a year, right? We were saying, okay, well, once we make the $100,000 in a year, then we'll give 10% to whatever, right? Or if we made that first 500,000 in a year, then we'll give 15%, right? Like we're always like kind of looking at it as like future pacing as far as generosity goes. But they like shifted our perspective so deeply with like, well, the habit of giving now is just going to increase when you get more money later versus what if like you just keep chasing that amount of like, oh, well, I'll give when I have more money, right? You're not instilling that habit in yourself now. So I wanted to come on here and share this with you because it is literally like changed our perspective with money and energy. It was like just like this like aha moment, light bulb that went off. And I hope this kind of inspires you as well to do that. Okay, babe, I know you're listening to this podcast because I know that you have a desire to change your life and accomplish big goals, right? But I also know that something has been holding you back on going after those big goals. Or maybe it's that you self-sabotage, or maybe you've set these big goals and you get really overwhelmed and you just don't go after them altogether. Well, I want to introduce you to a journal that is literally going to help you change your life and help you actually manifest and accomplish any desires or goals that you have. It's called the Marriage Scripting Journal, and it's the #1 selling manifestation and goal setting journal designed exclusively for empowering women just like you to up-level and change your life. Now, if you haven't seen this journal on social media already, I want to share with you that it is literally your personal guide to manifesting your dreams and unlocking your true potential. And inside its beautifully curated pages, you'll discover powerful daily journaling pages, workbooks, and exercises to help you set goals, help you plan your dreams, and manifest the life that you deserve. Plus, the one thing that I had to include, and it was a non-negotiable with this journal, is that it needed to have a community. So you'll also have access to join an online community filled with thousands of women just like you who are on the same path using the journal. So I invite you to join me and these thousands of women who have already embraced the power of manifestation and changed their life using the Marriage Scripting Journal. And I also want to gift you with a special 15% off code on your first journal order by using the code Money Mindset. The code is Money Mindset. So head over to manuscripting.com today and embark on a transformative journey by ordering the journal. So go ahead, check out the show notes, empower yourself. Answer the call to getting this journal. If this is speaking to you, I want you to join us. It's time to script your dreams into reality with the Marriage Scripting Journal because you deserve to create and manifest a life that you're completely obsessed with. See show notes for details. Just think about it. Whenever you do anything, and it doesn't necessarily have to be financial, where right now, maybe if you're not in a place to get money, maybe you can just like help people out with certain things, right? Say you see someone struggling with their groceries or bags or something like that, give them a hand, right? But if you're at a place where you can like even just challenge yourself, like even if it's like $20 this month, or maybe even 50 or something like that, and just spread it over a few little things. Or, if someone asks you for money and just give it and be like, you know what, like, don't worry about paying me back. practice it from that place. I know that's what we're going to start doing. I can let you guys know how this kind of goes and I can give you an update. But what I know to be true about it is it always feels good to give money, right? Like just the other day, I think I had a $14 Uber ride home, right? $14, super cheap and inexpensive for me, right? And the trip wasn't that long and I tipped the guy $10 on it. And that just felt good. Like it really did feel good. He wrote me back a little message on it and it just felt good. And I hope that made his day, where other maybe driver or pickups for that amount, maybe give him $1 or $2 or whatever. I'm just kind of looking at these things from this perspective of giving more and coming from a place of allowing it for me to be joyful about it and creating this energy with money to be more of a flow versus a capture, hold on to it. Okay, is this worth it? Oh, okay, do I actually have this much to spend? Like, just forget about that part. And I'm not even saying this to be financially irresponsible, but just knowing and trusting that it's going to come back to you. I think that's the message here, is just creating this trust that it's going to come back. And it won't come back from that person necessarily, but it's going to come back and through some different experience or different opportunity. And with both of these couples, like I said, they were sharing these different stories of, they literally gave at one point especially in the beginning stages of their lives and businesses and starting to slowly make money, they would give money when they were like, damn, like we literally don't have money for groceries this week. And then all of a sudden the other side around is, oh, they got an unexpected check in the mail or something like that. Like these stories were like over and over and over different situations of how it came about. And then as they grew in their businesses and with financially, these amounts of money came in larger and larger and larger. So, and I know you've probably heard this before, right? Like with manifestation, it's all about gratitude and giving and being clear and all of those sorts of things. But I'm sure you've seen on social media. In fact, I had two mentors. I wanted to say back in the day. It wasn't back in the day. It was like years ago. And one of them was Chris Harder. I'm sure maybe some of you know Chris and Lori Harder. They live on the West Coast, but they were my mentors and I was in Chris's mastermind. And that's when I was in his world and still am in his world just via social media. But he would always post about even just like giving money. And he would post these different scenarios on social media. And I always looked at that as like, oh, because they're obviously well off financially. I always looked at myself as like, oh, I can't wait to do that for someone someday. Someday when I have more money in my bank account, I'm going to start doing that. But what I really learned this past weekend is you can start doing that right now. And just think about it. When you're putting your money back out into the world, especially when it's from a place of giving, it creates a ripple effect, right? Because imagine if someone did that to you. Imagine if someone paid it forward by buying you a coffee, buying your dinner, dropping $100 on your desk or in your mailbox unexpectedly. You're going to be like, holy shit, like wow, thank you. Like I'm going to do that for the next person, right? Or in some sort of capacity. Maybe if they had a dinner bought for them, maybe the next day it's them buying a coffee. And then guess what? That person is probably going to continue on like, wow, someone did this great like deed for me today. Like I'm going to pass it on. So this act of giving will create that ripple effect. And even though you don't see it energetically, it's going to be happening. And then of course, like as you are giving, right, you're creating this strong, beautiful bond with the energy of money, because at the end of the day, money is just paper. We can accumulate way more paper, right? But by creating this beautiful relationship with money, how easy and yummy and juicy and fun and happy would life get if you just took those nasty, negative feelings away from money that you may have right now? For example, if you struggle to open up your bank account with gratitude, right? If you look at it, be like, oh my gosh, I have X amount of dollars. This isn't enough. Or looking at credit card debt or looking at all these different things where you wish you had more money and, getting those yucky energetics away from money and turning it to a place of, well, it's just money. Like it's going to come back around. I want to bless someone with this. And I know at some point, and you have to do this also like unexpectedly, right? It's like doing it from this place of giving and just being open to receiving. You're not worried about when or how it comes back. You just know you just blessed someone. You gave abundance into their world. Hopefully they pass it on. It creates this ripple effect. And all of a sudden, it's going to start reciprocating back to you, right? It's that law of attraction. It's that law of even different spiritual practices, right? Law of karma, all those sorts of things where it can indeed come back to you. So creating this positive energy flow with money is key to abundance. So it's not all about going out and working hard and hustling 24/7 and all that. Yes, those things do help. Like, yes, of course, both of those couples, and now, including Mark and myself, it's not like we're just somehow receiving money and then just putting it out into the world and doing nothing, right? That's manifestation, remember? Like you have to have a goal, but then you have to take that inspired action towards it. So you can't just sit back and do nothing, but thinking about money or adding this kind of fun, make it a game, make it a fun money game. Like who can you bless this month? And even if you start with, like I said, like you can start with $20 or $100, put that aside, put it, and like I said, we're going to take out $500 cash, Mark and I, $250 each, and we're going to use that to like bless people throughout the month. And we're just going to create this game out of it. Make it a fun game. The more you gamify things in life, I think the less stressful they become and the more fun that they can be. So I'm really excited to kind of take this new or upgraded perspective about money and start incorporating it into my life. Let me know if this is something that you already do. Maybe you do it on a smaller scale, like maybe you're a really good tipper, or maybe you just always tip 20% or no matter what, or whatever. Or if this has inspired you to give a little more, just give that little extra. Again, I don't want you to be completely financially irresponsible with this, but just do it from a place of happiness and joy and being able to bless somebody with abundance today, this month, this week, and how you can pay it forward. Because again, with the law of attraction, right? Like we have to keep coming back to this because I do talk here a lot about manifestation. I'm the manifesting queen, but law of attraction, right? Like attracts like. And when you emit these positive energy actions through these types of acts of kindness, you attract that similar positive energy back into your life. How you can really practice different unexpected givings, I mentioned already, pay it forward. So you can start small. You're going to the coffee shop, you're going through the drive-through, pay for the person behind you, right? I was already thinking about this, and it's funny because I drink coffee at home. I never go to coffee shops, but I'm like, ooh, like where can I do this? And one place that Mark and I do go to like get food is In-N-Out. So I'm excited to maybe practice this at going to In-N-Out next time we go. We usually go like once a week, but even just trying it there, if you can start with something small. Of course, generous tipping is always great. If you had good service and you can add, a little bit more than 20%, like do it. Or there was one situation that these couples do all the time is whenever they go out to dinner, they actually have their kids pick a table in the restaurant and have them pick a table to pay for their dinner. And they make this fun little game of like, hey, okay, let's pick a table. The kids pick it, and now they're instilling these values in their kids too. So you can make it, if you do have kids or other people in your family that you can like do this with together. And of course, like when their bill comes around and it's paid for and they're usually still there in the restaurant, like they're telling their kids like, don't look, like don't make eye contact, don't let them know it was us. Like they're not looking to get praise for it by any means. They're just doing this from a place of just being able to give and bless somebody else in their lives. So you could do it in that way. And then again, just like acts of kindness. Like I know in this day and age, we need to love on each other more than ever with all of the craziness and hate and the division that's going on in the world. Like if you can't give financially right now, like seriously, even just an extra dollar or two somewhere, do it. But if you really can't, like even just like helping strangers, right? Like I mentioned, like someone needs help maybe coming out the grocery store, or even just, I don't know, we live on a street where we all have our own trash cans. I know there's a lot of developments and communities don't have that anymore. You go take it to like your community dump or whatever. But like maybe you see your neighbors and their trash cans have been out for a couple of days or something, and maybe you can go like pull them back for them, those types of things. So where can you kind of give your time and energy and your love and blessing someone in a way that is unexpected? And then other places to donate is like other causes maybe that you are a fan of. And again, like that's just maybe going online, donating some cash, or maybe when you see people out, usually around grocery stores, right? Asking, for money to donate to this, to that, whatever. Do it there. Do what feels good to you, but just instilling this principle of learning how to give with zero attachment is opening you up to receiving anymore. And now that I've like heard it from two couples that are very successful and their hearts are so fucking beautiful and open, and oh my gosh, like they're just the most beautiful human beings, not just physically, but just like with their hearts. It's just like, whoa, we need more of this in our world. And that's exactly why I'm sharing this with you today. So how can you even just like integrate this? And I've kind of shared with what Mark and I are doing is just putting aside a little fund each month. Just put it in your wallet. Like I said, we're going to go for this month. We're going to start with $500. We're going to pull that out in cash and each get $250. And that's how we're going to put the money out throughout the month. So just setting aside this little fund. And then along with all of this, right, is just practicing gratitude. Like if you are able to give money and bless somebody else, having that gratitude that you're able to do it. It's not from a place of, oh, look what I did. I'm such a good human. Or I am just like, it's not from this place of look at me. It's more of like, wow, like, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, source, whatever higher power you believe in. Like having that gratitude of like, wow, I am so grateful that I am able to give and share this abundance. And when you regularly express gratitude for what you have, this practice reinforces the feeling of abundance and the desire to share it with others. Let me know, either DM me, comment wherever on this episode. Let me know if this is something that you would be inspired to do or not, or if you think I'm just like way off with this money energy stuff. But this is something that really, like, for example, like this whole situation happened a couple weeks ago and it is still like top of mind. Like Mark and I have been like really talking about it a lot ever since, of just this aha moment for us that seems just so like, duh, you know what I mean? But I feel like not as many people have these conversations, or you're someone like me where you see the people with money giving and you look at yourself, we're like, oh, when I get there, I will start doing that too. But to burst that bubble, it's like, no, it starts today. Start instilling those habits into yourself and make it a game. Challenge yourself. And I would love to know if you do start doing this. Let me know how it comes back around to you. And again, it's not going to be instant. It's not going to be overnight, but I promise you, you're going to start seeing some shifts. And I'm really excited to see those shifts for not just me and my family and household, but for you as well. So I hope you found this episode super inspirational. I hope you take action on it like I do. And again, let me know if you do. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please follow and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. And if you love stuff like this to kind of get you inspired and motivated. And if you did love this episode, I would love for you to leave a review. If you haven't done so already, I would so appreciate it, because that helps get this message out into the world. And oh my gosh, how cool would it be for an episode like this one to get out to like hundreds of listeners, and then they all go out and start giving, and we create this beautiful ripple effect of money energy flowing around everywhere so abundantly. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.